we get into this night of gloriousness, do you have hay yet? Round
Yes,
bales?
I do.
Do you have any time to get me two before you leave, or
I
you're
sure
leaving
can.
tomorrow?
No, I'm not leaving for like almost 2 weeks. So.
Oh.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Yeah, I mean, because
And they'll
the,
still like under.
I know, right?
Science
fiction.
Oh, they can get it, okay.
Somebody
Yeah,
can get it over.
sure, Elon, whatever you say. I know, it's very.
yeah, I
very
mean, they're
cool.
still on pasture.
Just seeing the rocket
It's just,
stand on
you
a
know,
floating
nothing's
pad
growing
in the
back
middle of
once
the
they eat
ocean.
it.
I know.
And this is that time where I'm all
And then-
trying to be like,
and then,
no,
you
don't
know,
find it, don't
Boeing's
find it.
epic disaster.
So, they're in the,
Yeah.
Frost and stuff.
I know.
Yeah, I heard something about that.
It was
credit
this, it
rating
was,
going crap.
last night was the first,
Okay, so.
2 nights ago, the
Yeah,
first
that's
hard
right.
frost for me.
Doors, yeah.
So, yeah, I'm gonna put one,
So I'm plugging everything
I'm gonna put
in here.
one,
Yeah,
I'll,
I know.
I'll
Way to-
show
What
Bushy
is
where
it,
they're gonna go,
grass
I'm
with
gonna do
feet
that.
and jaws of
It's
victory?
this.
Is that the
Yes.
easiest way?
Yeah, I could actually maybe some.
But I guess we don't treat your employees like crap and they
Over-
strike.
hold it up.
Yeah, no one does.
Board of
do good work.
Selectmen, waiting for host to sign, oh, it says
He's-
waiting for the host to
He's-
sign in
I'm
because
so glad
it's,
he's there. Is
Ah,
Mike
thinks
in
this is the
alright?
host.
Yeah, he really
Okay.
likes it. He is
Oh, I'm
very
30%
happy
of
with
the way
Yeah.
there.
He's very
Christine's saying she
sweet
was
and
told
grateful.
5:15 for the meeting, so we're still good.
it. No big issue.
Fine.
Yeah. No, everything's.
No, I mean,
It was originally
no,
5:15, I thought I
the
told
first
her
week I was
5,
like,
okay.
oh my god, this is gonna be rough, cause all his buddies were coming over every night, so there'd be like 6 cars in the yard.
Maybe
And
this will
between
start
those
working.
6 cars, there was one muffler.
Yeah.
And they're all like, blah, 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 blah.
I wouldn't bet
Pete
on
Hansen's gone out and been like screaming in the road when they started going fast, now they all go nice and slow. No, they're good, they're just, you know,
Host sign in,
Yeah, they're-
enter your email.
just fine, he's just fine. So,
You guys can start, the
yeah, Richard's
All
here,
right.
he's here.
and we do have some changes and additions.
It's 5:03.
It being 5:03 p.m., I call the select board meeting to order. Are there any changes or additions to the agenda?
Yes, there are 2 non-publics, one is, do I need to say the whole thing? Just E and there's an A.
Okay.
The one that I suggested is
Is
for
E.
next week.
Oh, you want it next week?
Yep.
Oh,
Okay,
So there's one non-public.
so there's
That
an, so
one,
there is
right?
an A though,
so there's an A.
that we're adding.
Under RSA 91-3 colon
So a third A to the end.
2.
Yeah, super fast.
3 2. Yeah.
Heard that?
It's a homework assignment.
Perfect. Any other changes or additions to the agenda? Hearing none, I make a motion to go into non-public under RSA 91-A colon 3 to D. Session 1.
A letter missing?
Roll call vote.
You say yes? Very yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Prejudice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. We are now in non-public.
Zach, I'm asking you to unmute just so I can get confirmation that's you.
Issue, donation.
No, this is something from.
Yeah, that's right. That's his number.
That's his number, okay. Well, are you there, Zach?
Hello,
There you are, okay.
can you hear me?
Yep, we heard you.
Well, to be on the.
Now you can mute again till
Form.
it's time to talk. We
But I
haven't come out
think
no
that
Nope.
2 hours.
I can't
Hey,
stand
My
computer, so that's why I'm let's
I
check.
can't.
Wait,
Anybody
This is a bill for Wayne.
Okay.
Okay,
We'll do that then.
She knows what it is.
Amazon, she knows what it is, okay.
Okay. Easy.
Up to 72 hours.
Okay, that's, I'll do it today.
Steve, is there some reason I can't see my screen? I can see it here.
I know.
Probably if you hit Windows P,
Good.
Windows
hold down the Windows key and hit
This?
Yep.
and P, did you say?
My UK members like to see that.
Okay, and
Okay,
then,
very good.
JS.
and then you have to set the extents so that duplicate.
Why did it do that? Oh, we don't know.
I mean, they're not acting
Hi,
great
guys.
today, but it looks like it's
How
doing
are
good.
ya?
Yep, so then just bring up Zoom, and you should be all set. Hover over here this again, click on that. Why is it?
Yeah. View.
Mr. Carter.
Okay, so
It's there.
hover over it, go off, click, hover over it again, and then click on it,
Okay,
and then maximize it. You should-
thank you.
Yeah.
And at budget time, we might
Oh,
maybe.
they're on 16.
Yeah, sure.
Carol. Yeah.
Does everybody have a copy of the budget?
Yes. That'll be good.
You don't have a budget?
need it.
So you don't have a budget?
And we have digital one.
Okay.
Thank you.
We're just waiting for Leanne.
Oh, this
Okay.
is very quickly.
Do you have a quorum? We can have one.
I make a motion to come out of non-public at 6 PM.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Say yes?
Barry, yes. Schaefer, yes.
Robert, yes. 4 yes, 0 no. We are now out of non-public. Minutes are not sealed. We will wait a minute to go into new business.
Okay. So Kim agreed that the fire department can go first.
Moving on to new business, we'll start off with the budget discussion, and we will start off with the fire department with Chief Colker.
Hopefully we got the same sheets there. Line 1, salaries, 6% increase.
Let them get to the right page.
Page 7.
Good to go.
Page 8?
Yeah.
Page 8.
Page 8.
Oh, I printed for mine, it was page 7. Okay. Don't listen to my pages.
Good to go.
Okay. We should make the next line, salaries part-time go away. The third line, part-time firefighters, was increased from 95 to 140,000. I'm sure there'll be no discussion on that, so.
You want us to jump in now, or you want us to wait till you go through the list?
Now let's go line by line.
And I don't know if we need to do every line. Should we just do the big ones or the ones
I
that are
just wanna
going
know about
on?
the 45,000.
Right.
Yeah.
I would say if the change is less than, is 5% or less, we don't need to hear about it.
That's the only line that really changed other than maintenance and dues, because our dues went up $10,000 a year for OBMA. And maintenance, we still have work to do, and that line item was pretty much spent for this year's. So, yeah, the 45,000.
Is the Medicare line going up 28% because of that $45,000 increase?
Complete guess, but yes.
Okay, yep, so tell us about the 45,000.
Zach, you there?
You're probably,
There we go.
Waiting to get access, I need to just drop the paper that I handed out.
Didn't hear what you said. What'd you say, Zach?
I'm here, can you hear me?
yes. Just speak slowly and it's a little
So-
fuzzy.
So the select board asked,
Yep, can you hear me?
Yep.
select board asked to talk about the increase in the part-time firefighters line.
Okay, alright, so the big reason, as you guys probably got a paper passed out for Keith, I did a data analysis trend actually for the fire department as a whole. What you'll see on the first data graph line is actually up until yesterday was where the fire department was at for calls. I created a trend line of where the department is going for calls. The next graph below is actually calls per year. And then I projected the call volume all the way out to 2028. As you can see, the linear graph is actually going to project the call volume is going to keep going up. The other one was actually the average age of the town right now. It's 43 or 44 years old. The last one is actually medicals per year. So as the calls go up, the expectation is there's going to be more calls in the towns around us. Right now, the department only has one full-time firefighter that was hired in 2005. The call volume back then was only 200 people. The intent for this added 45,000 is basically a part-time position, no salary, no benefits, no nothing. basically where there'll be multiple people that would be assisting the chief 5 days a week starting June 1st. The intent there was to make sure that our ambulance would be staffed. As of right now, as people are struggling to keep stuff staffed on the PD side, that's the same thing with the ambulance. My concern is being able to have an ambulance on scene for a medical for our residents, as well as being able to have a fire truck during the daytime when everybody works to be able to get to a call. That's why there was a big increase. And if you look at the data is showing that we're not gonna slow down, it just shows that we're gonna get busier. Since 2020, there's been a total of 57 new residential structures added in the town. That does not include residential home sales. The town itself, population is growing. Carroll County, actually looking at the data from all the grants that I've done, is the fastest growing county in New Hampshire at the moment.
So why not use the past 2 years, you've had significant money turned back to the general fund in that part-time line. So why are you adding to it when the pre-audited actuals for 2024 show that you haven't even used half of the 92,000 you had budgeted for last year?
95.
So,
Sorry, 95, yeah.
95,000, so one of the things I won't add to it in the years past, I was actually out for HERT for 6 months. I was one of the most active responders. Peak payroll last year was average $7,000 to $8,000. This does not include right now, we didn't have a forest fire season. We didn't really have a storm, we haven't really approached winter where there's a storm. Anything like that can really jack the payroll. The problem with the emergency services with cheap payroll, you can't really predict calls, can't really predict responders. What I did was add basically that 40 grand for that position, or 45,000 for that position, basically saying that's for that. The rest was for the part-time position. However, if the calls change where we're gonna be on scene for X number of hours, it's gonna eat up more of the budget. And unfortunately, we only have the money set aside for that, and it changes. But if we can figure out, obviously that number can go down. It's just figuring out the right budgetary. I just don't want to have it where we're shorted. Say if we create that position where there's another person with a chief, I wanna make sure there's enough money on line item.
So what happens if we don't allocate the 45,000 and we end up burning it, we need to get more money, we pull it from the
Unassigned fund
unassigned fund
balance.
balance?
Yeah, through it's a complicated process,
Sure,
but
but
it
it's
is doable if there was an emergency. Like,
Okay, I mean, I think allocating an additional 45,000, we're already so far over on the 95,000 is a bit high.
Yeah.
Zach, I don't know if you heard that, but they had discussion about the What is it?
The unassigned fund balance.
unassigned fund balance. So if we ran out of that money, that would be available.
on an for real emergencies.
Like if a forest fire came and burned through literally and figuratively all that money, and then you,
Because legally, once we start paying, we have to pay them whether we have the money or not.
Yep.
So
yeah,
to me, that's doable.
Or, I mean, maybe raise more than 95, but not 140, and split the difference. Something along those
I
lines.
guess I'd like to see
You guys
that.
can do 125 or
It's a-
130, I just wanna make sure there's enough, and legality wise, I don't wanna get us into a position.
Yeah. I think that the trend, your budgetary, I understand the trends and the numbers that you presented, but your budgeting trends for the past number of years aren't following that. Like you haven't been spending the money, you haven't even been coming close really. So if we'd had a year or two that was close or over, then
Yeah.
I'd be more compelled right
The other
now.
thing I will say is the fire department for the past 2 years, this is, I might be speaking out here, but Chief Colcord usually waits till the end of the year to start spending money on equipment. I don't know if that's the right answer for budgetary reasons, but we do that basically in the event that we blow up a truck or something like that. As a last resort, that's usually when we started to spend money on equipment. That's why our budget right now is so high, or it's not spent money.
Yeah, I'm only looking at your part-time salary numbers, I'm not looking at anything else. So I'm just comparing apples to apples with the increase you're asking for based on prior year's spending, which has turned a bunch of money back to the general fund, which means it's money we have to take from people and then it just sits there. So, like one of our goals is to take less right now.
One of our big goals.
One of our big goals, yeah. I mean, I appreciate I get your logic, but I'm just not seeing the spending trends backing up the data that you crunched to show us the possibility. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, like I said, my thought is split the difference, go like 120,
But,
and then
but why even increase it at all when we're not coming even close to spending the budget at 95 year over year?
somebody else's opinion. I just
Yeah.
gave you mine.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we had, the board fireworks had a large discussion
Yeah.
and it was not a unanimous, everybody said,
Yeah.
oh my God, yeah, we definitely gotta go this high.
Mhm.
It's a matter of risk, analysis.
Risk, yeah,
how much-
yeah.
What we've run into
Oh,
the last year or two, part of that, when we went to the hourly thing, was so that Chief Colker could, when he could find people, get him to help, when he get behind on things or need help with things, get him to help. Well,
Yep.
what he's found is it's pretty difficult to just,
To find people.
Right.
you can't just find people, you can't just get somebody the day meeting.
Right,
So that's part of
right.
why, and so we've always had that cushion because didn't want to run out.
Right.
But I
Well-
don't disagree that that's something.
And you're gonna find in our conversations with other departments too, like police, we wanna be able to fully staff the police department. We want it, we want it, we want it. We wanna support the chief that way. But it comes to the point where we're trying to think outside the box about appropriating money every year that we it's not for lack of trying that we can't fill the slots. And it's the same thing I think you're probably experiencing, that the money's there, but the people aren't. And so at a certain point, we have to say, we need to have that much money there because it's taken away from the town to do it. Sorry, Zach,
I'm
what?
just saying that we have a problem with finding people during the day. A lot of people work during the day and we just need to pay the people, and the problem is right now, he's alone by himself, and the trends, that's why I did the data crunch. Obviously, we didn't spend as much as we did this year in payroll, but that can change. As I said, if you had a storm or anything like that, it's gonna eat up payroll, so. I think it's not a bad idea. I mean, 95 right now, but everybody also had their cost of living adjustment this past month for that payroll.
So
What do you mean, just?
3% higher than 95,000 would be the equivalent?
Why was it just?
What's your-
No, we established this payroll 2 years ago, and then we did a cost of living for the first time
Oh,
for everyone.
And how much was that cost of living adjustment?
It was,
Six.
so inflation factor for that,
I think
we
it
did,
came
the
out to-
calculation was that like
2 year.
12 to 15%, and we gave everybody 10% based on the last 2 years. Nobody had a raise, and then we followed the town policy next year.
Okay, so the last 2 years, there's, to take care of the cost
There's
of,
been no increase,
Yeah. Use
there's
10,
no
make it
cost of living done at all.
Just say 10, make
10.
math easy.
okay, so 95, so it's 9,500 more would be the equivalent.
Right.
So you're at 105
You're at
anyway.
105, right.
And that's already in the 95 number? Or
No.
no, 95 was last
That
year.
was last,
Gotcha.
that was
Yeah.
last
Yeah.
year.
What do you say?
So it'd be
105,
105.
just call it 105. The cost of living part increase.
Okay.
And if, if they're somehow successful getting more people, then, okay, put a little more on.
Yeah, but I mean, if
Maybe
you're
not.
successful at getting more people, right now you spent half the 95. So even with cost of living, if
Well,
you've
that's
got,
half from now, right? That's not half,
Yes,
At the end of
there's a few,
December.
there's
Right,
3
right,
more
right, right,
months.
True.
right?
Yeah,
So
so you
still,
might,
But
when
still-
this,
still
these
couple more
numbers,
months.
the 40, that's 3 out of 4 quarters.
right.
Right.
But if that's 3 out of 4 quarters, it's still less than half of the original amount, so it's, unless it's a horrible last quarter.
Right.
I'm just saying, you're
believe
you're
we
still gonna come in low.
We spent 48,000 and we've got 45 or 42 left, something like that.
So what if we put that
But
line?
I think Emmerich number at 120 is reasonable. The reason why, if you were able to find the 5-day-a-week coverage, you basically eat up 35,000 out of that.
And this is
line
something
item.
new.
That does
Yeah.
not cover the next few months.
So,
for
yeah, no,
regular payroll.
I'm just saying this is something new, so I mean, we could, like I said, my opinion is go 120 and then reevaluate next year, see where
So
we're
you're,
at.
so
and
you
then-
get a part-time person
adjust.
for 2 or 3 days a week rather than 5, is that what that number brings us to?
I'd agree with that. yes.
Roughly, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you can, I mean,
Better than 140.
No, I think,
you can adopt it now and then 2 weeks from now, when we really have to get the final numbers, then you can
Then
say
we'll
if
see
that
how much
works
we
or
need
Yeah.
to
not.
cut.
I mean, cause I'm still compelled to factor the COLA in and go with 105.
Yeah.
And in a couple of weeks, if all of a sudden things shoot up and there's a lot of activity, then I'd adjust up, but,
Nothing's set until March.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
I mean,
well, until.
we can all
yeah.
stand
The
up and
budget,
say
yeah.
no.
Until the budget.
February.
February, yeah.
Well,
But yeah,
Well, March meeting, town meeting.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
when everything's technically voted on, but.
okay,
Okay.
so 105 or 120?
I'd be likely to go with the 105 for now.
Okay. Is that a,
I don't agree with that.
You don't? What do you go with?
Consistently don't spend the budget.
So even less that you're
I
saying.
would stick it at 95. When the budget gets spent up, it's spent up. I have a hard time justifying that increase when,
but it's already been voted on.
Yeah, the tables have turned.
then why are we talking about it?
No, it's, what do you mean it's been
For
voted on?
105, the cost of living adjustment's already
If,
been,
the cost of living, as we don't know if they'll ever spend them.
Right.
That's my point, there's still a
Right,
oh, I
so
see,
105,
right, still pay them the higher rate, but just up to.
Correct.
Yeah.
Up to that
Yeah.
point, right.
Right, the cost of living
Well,
would be applied to the
I agree.
95.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I mean,
When we're looking to cut and
yeah.
trim down as much as possible, I'm totally for funding appropriately as needed, but if the budget was spent, I'd be more on board.
So just so you know what we're up against, non-tax revenues are down,
almost 300,000, right?
well, 13%
Yeah.
from last year. We're anticipating $800,000 increase at the school. So we're looking for cutting.
But I gotta say, I don't look at this as a cut, this is an addition.
So you're trying to get the appropriations more, like, as close as we can
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
what to actually, just
To-
to.
And we don't wanna
actual
budget for things that we don't think
Because
are gonna be expended,
the
because
other
we
thing
got
is-
a tax for it.
We have too much money in our
Unassigned.
unassigned fund
Some
balance,
balance, yeah.
because it keeps being returned.
Right.
And then that's got more than we're supposed to have.
We consistently keep growing it.
So,
I'm good with the 95,000, and I got a warm fuzzy feeling because we do have a backup plan. If something happens, there is money there. Well, it's gotta come from somewhere.
Isn't,
That's the key.
I mean, it's totally not my budget, but I mean, it is technically a bottom line budget. Not that you want to pull from other lines to pay for your part-time, but worst case scenario, you would have the money at that point in your budget, and then we'd have to figure it out after the fact to
Yes,
offset
and
something else.
everyone in this room is smarter than I, so I can take from other lines to cover the part-time pay. I cannot take from the part-time pay
To
to
cut.
pay other lines.
Okay.
Is
Right.
that how that works?
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
Everybody in here is smarter than me.
Apparently not.
You keep saying that,
Does that sound right? Somebody
Yes.
told me that.
Yes, I believe that's right.
I didn't know that.
yeah.
Something new for me.
I just made it up and took a shot.
I know
Confidence
it's
is all that
true for
matters.
full-time salaries. Fairly sure it's the same for part-time, but I'm not 100% sure.
Well, we should check that, but I think that's,
Yeah.
I think we've said that before.
Madam Liaison, would
Yeah.
you?
Yeah. Happy to.
I believe that is by RSA.
I mean-
So that's probably why you said it would be complicated, the unassigned balance,
Yeah.
those funds, if we get into trouble. but I'm sure there's a way to do it.
That's a last resort,
Yeah.
a possible last resort,
Emergency funds.
emergency.
For
right.
sure.
But, I mean, the bottom line is, we wish you had more help that you needed to do what you need to do. But if the bodies aren't there yet, we just are in this pattern, since I've been on the board now, it's just, and I think before that, I think it's just a pattern that boards do, that you
Better safe than sorry.
you better safe than
Plan for
sorry,
the worst,
or
hope
hopeful, plan for the worst. And at a certain point, with the money we've been shoveling into the unassigned fund balance, it makes sense to look at what are we actually spending realistically? And I think, I know, Zach, I know you put a lot of time into this, and I appreciate it, and I appreciate that you are like looking at the data, projecting what could be coming for us, because we really should be doing that, all of us. And then let's see what the spending trends do to back that up.
Yeah, so the other thing that I will say that, technically, as you add a person or something like that, the expectation is the maintenance costs on vehicles would actually somewhat go down because people would actually have more time to be able to maintain things. The other thing I will add too is that every year that the fire trucks are always getting older, if you have people that are able to do preventative maintenance on things, they're able to preserve life on things, which then reduces the cost on the overall budget.
Absolutely, and you've got the money already unspent in your budget to do that. You just gotta find some handy people to pay. You're right, and that's good thinking.
So I just need to know if the board's on board with actually getting chief help, so it's not a one-man show during the day.
I think we're supportive of that, and I think pay for it out of your current part-time, and if it looks like you're spending down on it, then we'll look at that number again.
Right.
Seconded.
Okay.
We're moving
Perfect.
forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we're very supportive of having another person, so it's not a one-man show all the time.
Alright,
The
I
rest
guess
of the
we
budget's.
continue on, or is there any other,
the rest of it.
any other, yeah?
No, the rest of it is what it is.
Geez, there's an awful lot of zeros in there for percentages increase. I'm used to that over the last few years.
I just had a question, why is heating fuel down so much?
Why what?
Why is your heating fuel down so much?
Cheaper than last year.
Is that just, is that,
Not that
that was
lot.
that much difference?
Yeah, it's not that.
Yeah.
Maybe a little
I mean, I'm not
longer, too,
complaining, it's
so-
excellent, but it's, I mean, it was like a whew. Or maybe you budgeted high last year because it was expensive going into the
I
winter?
think that was, diesel and heating fuel
Right, diesel
was
is-
spiking and we didn't know where that was gonna go. And it was suggested, when we were over at the library, I believe, that add that a little bit.
Yeah, okay, that was the only thing that stood out to me.
The only other thing y'all probably already know, we were not successful with the radio grant this year. We made it all the way through everything. They basically ran out of money.
Oh, rats.
And we're resubmitting 2024 AFG funds have been cut. Zach, help me out, from 324 million to
291 million.
291. But it opens November 5th, so we already have that grant wrote, and we did really well with it. We just have to tweak some things. And we're doing another grant for, I believe FEMA's allowing 50,000 for a monitor.
Up to 50,000, I don't know how much they're gonna fund, but the other thing with the radio grant, we're actually gonna tie in Conway to try to boost their numbers if it comes down to call volume. We made it all the way through, but I don't wanna take a chance, I wanna try to get the townspeople paving.
Right, so the more people that grant benefits, so going in with Sandwich and Conway, that's benefits exponentially that
Right.
many people, it does help us out. Also, the X-Series monitor, we had quite a discussion, because I am alone most of the time during the day, so if I can throw a monitor on a patient, that takes care of a lot of things for me. I can move on to other stuff. So we were gonna put 30 grand in the budget this year to purchase a new Zoll X-Series, that's what's on the ambulance, but what we figure out, Zachy, that was 17 years old or whatever. And I was gonna take
Yeah,
the
20
old
years old.
I have an E-Series Zoll, which cannot be calibrated. It can't be serviced, so I don't know if it's giving me good numbers or not. But then pricing them out, they're about $48,000 for a monitor, so I bought a $700 monitor that's basically a wheel chalk refurbished. Very disappointed. But we're doing a grant for an X-Series monitor also.
How often do you use that kind of monitor?
You, about average daily,
Oh my gosh, really? Yeah.
yes, yep. And the one we have is very good. Like I never said I was smart, I'm the dumbest person in here, but you can pick up cardiac conditions. You can read the waves very nicely on that. This one I got, you can't. It's a piece of crap. Yeah,
The
we
monitor
average,
technology is basically the exact same thing as a hospital. We have the ability to transmit stuff to the hospital as well, be it funky reading from the doc and read it, so.
yeah. And there's a pretty good percentage cardiac issues that are STEMIs, that time is, seconds are critical. Time is muscle mass, and we can identify a STEMI, but we've got to send it to Wentworth Douglas, and they go, yeah, bring him in and send him down there.
So you'll
it's-
send warrants for those two things to us? You
Correct.
usually craft them and then we
Yeah,
go
okay.
back and forth?
Yeah.
Okay.
So when will you find out about that grant?
Well, it opens November 5th. They probably won't start awarding until June, July, that's a
June of next
guess.
year.
So it goes in the
June.
budget, but
No,
it's.
no, I know, I'm just trying to figure out the
And
timeline.
then, this time, I think there were 5 rounds before they ran out of money. It just depends, they stop doing rounds when they run out of money, basically.
Yeah.
And they did cut it, so it's gonna be more
We're
competitive.
basically.
No,
on
I mean the
funding model
monitor
waiting for
grant, not
money that
the
they ran
radio
out.
grant.
It'll be the same thing.
Oh, okay.
They're both gonna be submitted, it opens November 5th, and they'll be in on November 5th.
Okay.
Zach and I met with Greg Beavis, our grant guy, I don't know, yesterday or the day before.
So if you were to get that grant, you would have the monitor by June or July?
Perhaps.
Negative.
Probably get notified.
So, it really depends on if the equipment is available, and the problem right now is that anytime you order something with a fire service, it's delayed, shipping costs. The portables, we might get an order next year, but we might not see until a year later. It really depends on if they have them in supply.
We have one new portable radio that I got, and if I remember correctly, literally it was 14 months to get it.
Yeah. Okay.
So the monitor, I don't know if I'd like to think they build them and stock them, but that technology changes a lot too. So, who knows?
Is that the $45,000 one? Is that the one with the built-in or compressions that Zoll makes?
No, the monitors
That's a whole
don't
separate
do,
monitor, okay.
monitors are just
Just that.
electrical.
Yep.
We do have an auto pulse that does compressions
Oh,
on it, and the big sell of that, 2010, I believe, we bought that. Zoll makes it. 14, that's why I got him around. Auto pulse will talk to the machine and they'll coordinate what the machine's supposed to be doing. They never got FDA approval to do that, but it does save a lot of work for you. It's also just replaced 2 of the batteries on it, $1,800 a piece,
For
and
batteries.
they're smaller than that speaker, but we had a code and the machine died, we were down 16 and 28. So the batteries have a lifespan on them. And
So this is gonna be a grant, so it's still gotta be in, I'm not seeing it in the budget.
They just told us today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So
we
it will
haven't
be,
written this.
it'll be
It'll be-
revenue and expense,
We'll
almost,
have
usually
it.
they're close to equivalent.
So last year it was $292,350, that's the amount, that's the radio?
that's gonna throw that number right out because now it's gonna be Sandwich, Tamworth, Conway, so and we're sponsoring it.
Ballpark numbers, $500,000.
So you'll send me the numbers,
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll write it
and I'll put
Yeah.
in revenue and expense.
Yep, the same as we've
Okay.
done in years past.
before.
And we really should have that number by early November.
Great.
Yeah, I mean, we'll run out of time to get this done, but we got it.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thanks for all
Thank
you
you
do.
for coming in tonight.
Thanks for having us. It's always a pleasure. We enjoy your company.
I hope you enjoy the refreshments.
No coffee
We
tonight.
didn't, I didn't bring you,
Exactly.
yeah, I feel bad now.
Um,
I read my prep email.
Thanks, gentlemen.
thank you.
Thank
All
you,
right.
thank you,
Cheers.
Zach.
See you.
Guys.
Moving on
Thank you so
to,
much. Have a good night.
have a good
You
night.
too.
Thanks, Zaki.
We're
Night,
doing
Zach.
it later, right?
Moving on to town clerk, tax collector, Kim Trammell.
Good evening.
Okay. Wait, we've gotta find you.
Well, we're on 4.
4?
You might be,
Page 4.
I'm on 4 too. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Good to go.
Kim, I have a question right out of the gate.
Sure.
It says, your first line is salaries, and then your second line is salaries part-time.
Yep.
Tell me what the breakdown is, since it's 2 full-time people now.
Yep, so the part-time is just there for a part-timer. I suggest you leave that there as far as having an assistant or someone to come in if both the deputy and the clerk are not
Okay.
available. The 115, I think we did, was 78 and 42 breakdown there.
It's 120 on this.
120, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Reading wrong number. 78 and 42, I think is what we came up with.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So the part-time is that sub kind of position?
Yes,
Gotcha.
I was just thinking if in my retirement I wanted to reserve a spot for myself part-time. Okay.
You're not gonna let you, yeah, okay.
But I do suggest that only, you know, in years past, being able to have one full-time and part-time, Libby was, in previous deputy/assistant was so flexible that we really lucked out for all those many years.
No, that makes,
Yep,
I mean, it's short
and the
money,
draw
it makes
now
sense, yeah.
on the full-time with the
Yeah.
elections and all the increase of what they brought down on the clerk level.
Yep.
And collector too,
Yep.
as well. Being a dual position.
That looks good.
geez, Kim, we don't see a whole lot to cut out of your budget.
Well, I was trying to think that as you guys were talking about that, and I'm like, oh, I don't know.
And all the election stuff goes down because we got the new machine and it's not a 4-election year and all of that,
Yeah,
right?
we don't have the machine yet, that's the thing, we'll have to encumber that 7,000. Yeah,
It's already funded,
but I
yeah.
did find there is a, through the Secretary of State's office, a grant, that actually LHS, the company who does our machine, and I'm looking to purchase the new one from them. The 3,500, we can have them, they'll bill directly to the state will pay them directly for us.
Okay,
So we may only have to come up with 3,500.
Okay.
But I wanna appropriate obviously the 7, because
we don't know, yeah.
we don't know yet,
Yeah.
but it
And
sounds
then that won't get
promising.
used until March.
And it may not, the one machine I'm looking at, there is one that's that people are using now, but they had to use it for the primary in order to use it for the general.
Right.
And that was the second of the other machine from what I had looked at, or chose. I feel LHS I've been with our machine, Chris and I have had it since '06 when we were both elected, and it's made its course, so. The company's still strong and supports and that kind of thing, so I kind of stuck with their machine. I did like their machine a little better. They're hoping to have it available for purchase in order to use for March, but it's up to the ballot law commission, I think, to approve it in time.
Okay.
But our machine that we have now that we'll use for general election will be fine for March too. And then we'll just have to, do some training with it for the following year, if we don't have any special elections in
Right.
25.
Okay.
But we'll have the machine.
Yeah, I think you're off the hook so easy. Fire
Okay.
got us going.
All fired up.
Oh, God, both at the same time. Painful.
I know, I was just looking down further. I bumped up only a little bit more for postage than anything with like the outsourcing of our tax bills through the printer and stuff, the printing. They do the bulk rate, but generally, they have the increase as well. So most of it, usually it's the postage part of things for that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's,
well, thank you for all you
Awesome.
do.
Yeah, thanks for coming in tonight.
thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Quick and painless.
If you think of any questions later, let me know.
Okay.
Will do.
Thanks.
Have a good night.
You too.
Bye, Kim.
Thanks.
All
I'm
back
gonna
on
move
plate.
on to planning board with Sheldon Perry and Larry Nickerson.
We're on the spotlight.
Ta-da.
So,
Page, what page are we?
5.
Very
6.
bottom. 5 and
Oh,
6.
5 for me, sorry.
So Larry Nickerson is our treasurer and has been since March. And many of you may know him, being a longtime resident of Chicago, born and raised. Known for incredible cabinetry, home building, other skill sets associated with houses. Also, we've got a lot in common through skiing and ski racing and coaching, although he's got way more experience on that end than I do. And we've both been on the board of Chicago Lake Conservancy, so that's my introduction. And so I'd really like to have Larry's voice involved in this, and we talked before our last meeting at the planning board, had a discussion and made some recommendations to the planning board, and the planning board came up with the final result. And so that's where we are.
Other question,
Yeah.
was not the salary changed at our last meeting?
No.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, the rate changed, for the same bottom line, that's what it was.
Yeah, because I think we were undercounting her hours.
Mhm. I'm just looking at the pre-audit actuals, where we are year-to-date was still quarter left, and we're already at 2,400.
Okay.
We don't have to do this now, but the planning board might wanna revisit that, given what we had in mind when we were talking about.
That's a good point.
Because it's getting, I mean, by the end of the year, it's probably gonna be a little over 2,700 with this trajectory, or very close to it.
That could easily be the case.
Yep.
Is that salary for?
The clerk, Melissa, who takes all the minutes, does all the noticing, she does all the, like the mailings for subdivision,
The butter.
a butter, yeah.
She's really good.
She's been doing it
Surprise.
for, she knows
Yeah,
it.
me too.
She is the historical memory of the planning board.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I think that's the thing.
So the only two real increases you have are consulting fee and printing. What is, so you tell us about those.
Let's see, so have you just got numbers, or do you have the write-up as to what's involved?
No,
We just have the
just the
numbers.
numbers.
So, okay, so we're looking at consulting fee,
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, you were asking about printing.
And,
Well,
And,
that's-
and
that's after.
consulting.
okay, yeah,
That's
all right.
second.
Consulting fees, for general consultations as needed. In case we need advice on something that's come before us, if we need some advice, we just have to have a consulting fee for it.
Right.
And I think it went up because we were talking about LRPC and master plan support.
Right.
That's why it's up 1,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was 1,000 last year, you used 916. And so this year's 2,000,
Yeah.
which isn't a lot of money, I'm not gonna grill you hard on that. The next line though is printing, and that one is substantial.
Yeah, same thing.
Well, we've got a master plan survey going out, and we're trying to figure out the best way to facilitate that. And we haven't really had enough information yet to pick a direction to go as far as getting information out to people.
Yeah.
So, that's the reason that's up so much. We've gotta, have the money there to
So that might be for a mailing or something?
get to everybody in town.
Well, it'd definitely be for mailing, but it may also include things like reaching out to the community with some events
Mm,
to get people involved. I mean, the whole point of the survey, to make it as valid as possible, is to get as much community involvement as possible. Whether it be, just events to make people aware of it, bring people to gather and talk about it. Maybe it's
We're trying to figure out how to get everybody in town involved.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
yeah, so I mean, and also, developing the survey and analyzing the survey and reaching it, making it reach effectively into the community is going to be at least a year, we're anticipating. And we just feel like the budget has to support that kind of an effort. Unfortunately, it's not really a good, there's not like,
Not a good line for it.
no, it's not a good line item.
Yeah.
We called it printing and mailing, but it goes beyond that. And I don't think there was a good place to put it, to be very honest with you.
You might wanna add community outreach to that.
Yeah.
And so this is something new that hasn't been done in the past, I'm understanding.
Well, not since 2007.
Eight.
Well,
Well,
seven.
you're right.
Off
2007
the
was
sheet.
when- Yeah,
It was
yeah,
probably,
well off the sheet.
it was
the
probably
last time
2
the
years to
master plan
develop it,
Right.
back in 2006 and 2007.
Yeah.
So we're beyond the point of tweaking the master plan. We need a full-on community effort to update it the way it needs to be updated.
Agreed.
It might be good to, between now and the budget hearing, figure out some more ways to
Present it.
present, say, what might that effort be totally?
We're working
So
on
you've got a few weeks to work on that.
Yeah.
So we know, have some good data on what that number means and
Yeah.
is it accurate?
Well, the planning board admittedly has been distracted with our build-out analysis. And we've kind of been thinking, we don't like to overly multitask, but the build-out analysis finally has come to fruition. We have a final report as of a couple of weeks ago. And so our discussion next is going to be how we present that. And certainly I think everybody here would be interested in it. It's a really interesting
Yeah,
report.
absolutely. And it should help a lot with the master plan.
Yeah, and so that's our priority, but we'll do the best we can with, I think just in general, there's going to just be a lot of effort to outreach to the community in whatever form that may take. We'll do a little brainstorming.
Keats, what's the protocol to add a line item under a category? So Sheldon makes the point that if you look at the planning board line items, there really isn't any place where
Well,
We
like
can add-
outreach goes.
can
Well,
I
I'm not sure
maybe-
outreach would be a line item, but it might be the consultant and the event and the,
Where's
we
event?
wanna
Well-
eliminate,
Newspaper
I'm not sure what event, we can find the line items. I don't know that outreach in of itself. is-
Yeah, but I'm just saying, whatever you wanna call it, but can you add things in?
Yes.
Okay,
We're omitting newspaper advertising. Can we put community outreach into that slot? Can we?
Let's see what other options
No,
are.
I think we talked to Elaine, the Department of Revenue has specific,
It's
so we'll see
specific
what lines
number.
make sense, but I don't think so we'll see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like if you had a consultant who was gonna help you design the survey, that would go under consultant. Printing the survey would go under printing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we don't have a breakdown, and we're not, we should never.
Yeah, you're not there
break
yet,
No.
so,
but if you look at the numbers in the column just to the left of the words, so postage is 419110625. it doesn't matter what department you're in, if you've got a postage line item, it's the same number. So Elaine just has to go through and find some number under the DRA form that is more like an outreach than or an event or something, and then we just stick that in there, is what she's saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
As soon as you think it's appropriate, if you could email the build-out analysis to Keith, and she can then send it to us.
Yes, but I prefer to discuss that with the planning board as to how we want to go through that process, if that's okay.
Sure. Whenever you think it's.
Yeah, I mean, that's
'Cause I'd like
next
to-
week,
Mhm.
less than a week away.
Sure, that's
Okay.
great.
It's on, it'll be on the agenda.
Any other questions for the planning board budget?
No.
Well, thank you for
Thank you.
all your diligence on this important,
Yeah.
complex, and detailed item. Thank you.
Thanks for
Thanks for
coming.
coming in.
All
Have a
right.
good night.
Good night. All right.
Okey-doke.
Moving on to the budgets managed by the town administrator, Keith Meyer.
Same one.
I just want to jump in, since the room is empty now, to the viewing public and remind people that we're really hoping if they want to be participants in the budget process, they come to these meetings. Because by the time we have the budget hearing, it's great to ask for clarification at the budget hearing, but that's not when we should be trying to change line items, unless there's some seriously egregious item.
Yeah.
This is the time to do the planning and be involved
I agree. And last meeting, we talked about posting it a little more
aggressively.
aggressively, yes,
Yeah.
good word, instead of just in the meeting minutes. Did that go on the website?
No, it did not last week.
Is there a
I'm sorry.
place
Yeah.
we can put it, like
Sure.
on the main landing page or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or even in the, for a while we were doing the, whatever we were calling it, the weekly message from the town on the
Oh,
Tamworth
our
Exchange.
newsletter thing?
Our newsletter thing, on the Tamworth Exchange.
Yeah.
I'd post on the Tamworth Exchange, just a reminder, here's what the budget process looks like, here's what the budget hearing's for, this is the good part, to have your voice heard, be part of tuning up things,
I know it's in an email somewhere, but who's up next week, so we can tell anyone listening now?
Oh, what's up next week? I'd have to pull my agenda and I don't have it in this computer.
I know it's here somewhere.
Is it in ours? Oh, you've got yours right now.
I mean, I can find it.
Yeah. Okay, what are we doing now?
We're doing all the little budgets that I manage, not some little, some not little. The first one is the select board budget. I did not post any changes except an increase into the newspaper advertising line, simply because we have gone over. So, hopefully we will.
And that was all personnel related, job advertising?
And some public hearing stuff.
So what is the standard or the range for a public hearing notice or a job notice
You mean, was it cost?
to post it? Yeah.
It's something like 75 a day. It's a lot.
Yeah, at the Daily Sun, it's
It's
way
a
too
lot.
much.
Yeah.
Usually do it for a week or two, so,
Depending on what it is. I mean, if I'm posting a hearing, I do it for a day.
yeah.
If I'm posting the town administrator job, we did it for 2 weeks. So we spent a lot on that. I don't think that's in this number yet. But that's pretty unusual that you would post a job ad for that long. The transfer station jobs were posted, the highway job was posted, so there's a lot of personnel posted.
Okay.
That line, I hope is enough at, what is it, it's currently at 2,500 instead of 1,750.
Yeah.
Hopefully that'll do it. This year, I think, this year the town administrator posting was expensive. Any particular thoughts or questions on the select board budget?
Emery keeps wanting a raise, but we'll hold it.
He's out of the room, he's lost his chance.
Okay, town administrator job, I put in the midpoint of you advertised the job at 70 to 90, I put in the midpoint. When that number becomes a real number, we'll put in the real number.
Okay.
The part-time salary is the finance manager and the assessment clerk. We've budgeted for, this has gone way up because I was an individual insurance policy. when you're budgeting, you have to budget for a full family until you've hired and then you know what you're planning on.
Do those salaries include the 3% we agreed on?
Well, no, because the three, yes, it does, it's for the,
Hey,
For
Jim
the
and Maureen,
part-time.
you're on, your mic is hot.
who are you trying to do, Jim and
Jim
Maureen?
and Maureen,
Keeps going on.
yeah, the mic is live. There, thank you.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Say that again, Keats.
Yes, it does for the part-time,
Okay,
it doesn't for the,
right.
yeah. Other large increases, let's kind of.
Retirement.
Well, so, one of the discussions that we've been having amongst ourselves and the staff is, going back to a model of a joint position between assessing and finance. We've done it before, Anna Bear, I believe, did both jobs.
Oh, did she?
And what you do is, well, I did an analysis of 2 part-time jobs. And because of the rates that we're paying, some people, it actually comes out to only costing about $2,000 more a year to give a full-time position to somebody, depending on the level you hire them at, with insurance and retirement. So again, there's a lot of variables in there, but that's the initial assessment.
So you're saying combining the assessing clerk and the finance manager?
Should the finance position open up?
So I still don't understand then why that would be a $9,000 increase if you just said
Because
it's a $2,000 increase.
Total 2,000, total, so when you combine retirement.
When you roll it into
When
the
you
other
roll it all
factor.
together.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yep.
What else is interesting about this?
Nothing.
Paul King, he said he was going to volunteer the perambulation, so I took that out.
Yep.
Um,
And their first
I know,
community perambulation is Saturday.
I'm
It's supposed to be
so
a beautiful day.
bummed I'm gonna miss it.
Yeah.
Oh, I really wanna go
It's a
to
boring section of line.
that. What?
It's a
It's a
boring.
boring section.
There's no
Well, I
more film.
still wanna do the whole thing,
Oh, you
so.
wanna do the whole thing, okay.
So I'm gonna make Amy and Paul walk it again with me, or get some of you guys or something.
I might be there for the first one. It might be good to have one of us be in various pieces along the way.
That's a good idea.
It's fun.
Because it might just be Paul otherwise, I don't know.
No, I think
They
it
got
might.
Brown this
Oh, really?
for Saturday. They got
Yeah.
Amy's making a party out of it.
Yeah.
It's
Can you
what's it,
bring
a bon tog?
I think it's after.
It's
Finish
called,
the cake
it's
and then you
modeled
go
on a
back.
Public
Swiss,
land, you know you want.
Richard, you might have missed it, but it was modeled on a Swiss practice called, I think, a bon
Fun
tog.
tag, yep,
Bon
I
tag.
saw that.
Yeah. Anyway,
Okay,
I
so
really like
town
that.
administrator, looks great.
okay, fine.
Are these going in order?
And this may come down depending on where we, whatever, it may go up, wherever you settle. Okay, so, my next budget is, data processing, which is on the next page, page 5, mid-page.
Bottom of the floor for me.
Line
So there's-
307.
That's the way to do it.
There's 2 sort of big hits on this budget, which is, you see has gone up a lot.
Yeah, a lot of-
Yeah.
And one of them is that, should the finance person move on, it was decided that it made sense to have payroll be handled by MTS, which is our software company. And so that's a $7,500 commitment, I believe. I'm still waiting for the final contract, but it's approximately that. That may change a little.
Is that annual or?
That's an annual, yep.
What line is that under?
That is in the
309.
top one, software support.
Software, okay.
Oh,
Okay.
Then the other big increase is in hardware upgrades. We've been advised that we need a new server, and we need a lot of new computers. Most of our computers are over 6 years old. And so this, in fact, I think we need 10 or 11 new computers over the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
oh my
So this
gosh.
purchases 5 of them, the most egregiously old ones.
Does this get the server as well?
Yeah.
And this is in, the server's in here as well. The server's in for 11 or 12, and then the rest are $1,000, solid computers. And I'm worried that I might need this This is
Yeah.
acting
Still having
very
fun.
suspiciously, and it's used every night by different committees, so
Take a look
maybe
at it.
it's all right, we'll see.
And what was it, did you say the software upgrades?
Yeah, that was, software upgrade.
I mean,
That's a 77% bump,
77%.
line 309.
Those are, actually, I think the problem there is that I put one, I think that's just a redistribution of the numbers and I need to reset them, which I did after I printed this, because I was looking at that 77.
So don't look at it now and it'll get
It's
fixed
not
later.
really relevant.
Okay.
The bottom line is relevant.
And the bottom line's correct?
Yes, so
Okay.
75 is what we're anticipating. And that is a lot higher than it's been, but it's, again, it's when you don't invest in the hardware, you gotta do it.
Right.
So here we are. Property reval, the big news there is that we've finished our revaluation, and so we don't have to spend that 30,000 for another 5 years.
5 years.
Yes, at which point it will probably be 40.
Right.
Okay, town attorney, we're right on the edge of, we're coming in on budget at 35, so I kept it at 35. Unless there was some big legal thing we thought was gonna come down the pike.
Why are you looking at me?
Are you in trouble?
I might be, I don't know.
Personnel benefits is what I have to say about that. What else we got? That's just the same. Townhouse is on page, where's the
$3.99 is the line.
townhouse is, basically,
I have an old one.
Page 7.
page 7, there is
Oh.
an increase. The big increase is
So
we
it
didn't
is.
budget
Better
enough for
glasses.
heat.
Hmm.
Maybe I bumped it up too much given the decrease in oil and gas. So that maybe can come down a little bit. But other than that, there's really not much to say about that budget. Insurance, it is what it is. This is the price they've given us, and that's the property insurance is, I suspect insurance is gonna be something that we're all gonna be dealing with. It's gonna get a lot more expensive before it doesn't.
How often do we, shop our insurance?
Well, I have never shopped it because Primex is kind of the gold standard.
Do we have negotiating ability
Yeah.
with
I
them?
don't
With
know.
insurance companies, good.
Yeah, right.
My,
I mean, they're
my
the
job, we
municipal
negotiate our rate
insurer.
every year.
You what?
At my job, we negotiate our rate every year.
Okay.
We go, I don't know how it
Well,
works in
maybe
municipalities,
we
but
should talk about that and see if there's something we can do.
I don't, the company does,
Okay.
just to be clear.
Yeah.
I mean, Primex is considered the insurer for municipalities and there's a lot that comes with it.
I mean, my experience
Definitely
working
worth
with
a
them has been great, but at
Yeah.
the same time, I don't
Keep
know
them
if there's a way to do some,
And the answer, I don't know the answer to that. I can see what other towns are
What is their
doing.
increase this year?
11%.
Yeah.
Right?
Wait, let me just look at that number for a second. Where'd it go? It's actually not quite 11%. That's as it compared to budget, and this budget number was too low. It's probably more about 7%, but anyway. I can look into if there are options. I don't know if there are. Ambulance, we're in the first year of our new 5-year contract. It is up almost $40,000 from $191,000 to $229,000. There is no negotiating on this.
Yep.
That's what it is.
This is me being naive. I had no idea. I thought, we pay this money and people get ambulance rides. You still have to pay for your ambulance ride.
Yeah, like a lot.
All that money is just to make sure
Get
that
it
they
to show
answer
up.
your call.
Right.
Is that because there's no other competitors that we can?
I don't know, I think it's, imagine if we do self-fund one ambulance, but imagine if we self-funded another. Those ambulances are enormously expensive, 3 full-time staff,
Yeah.
I
mean,
An
I
action
get it.
ambulance, I think, does a region, right?
Yeah,
They
Yeah.
just don't
this
do
is a 5-town
Yeah.
contract.
Yeah.
So we're with Freedom, Effingham, Tamworth, 2 others, I
So
can't
they've
remember.
got $1 million to be
But-
on call.
And probably maybe all the.
Just because there's other
yeah,
ambulance
us,
services
yeah.
should be higher, but that's a
Yeah.
bigger track.
Yeah, for people that have
All
decent
the
insurance.
People have
Yeah.
decent insurance, but I mean, I just talked to 3 separate people in the past 6 months.
Oh, really?
We've had people
3,
come in the
6,
office
and
assuming it's
They
like
help.
a municipal service and it's not.
$12 grand for an ambulance ride,
Holy crap.
just saying.
It's crazy.
I had some very expensive ones and didn't pay a cent.
Yeah, well, you
I
got the
crawled out
right
with
good
insurance.
insurance.
It didn't cost me anything.
Yeah, anyway, that was my
Yeah,
big, this year.
yeah, so,
Something to look at, for sure, but we're talking to other towns about, but I mean, I think that, and I wasn't on the board when we originally contracted with them, but I really think that that was like, looked at as like a cost savings. I mean, we have a new contract now, but at the time, whatever their contract was
A lot.
a
Or more.
significant cost savings for all the towns combined. Like if we took
Yeah.
an all staffed, separate ambulances or whatever, this was
a
the
cheaper
better
way to go,
Yeah.
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 unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's a lot, man.
Streetlights are down
I actually had a question about streetlights, where is it?
percent. Page 9.
Rick was here in the dark last night working on the
That's
parking
stupid
lot
thing.
lights.
Was he?
Yes, he saw, I think he's solved it.
Oh, good.
Although, he said he's turning them off at 8:30. That seemed a little early.
It's okay with me.
So my question was, it's not a lot,
That's
But when
probably
if I leave this meeting past 8:30, then somebody has to stay.
I think it
with
should
me.
be 10 in the summertime.
Or not, oh no, in the summer it'll be different, this is for winter.
Oh.
Yeah, summer will go past Barnstormers.
is there a reason why we've got this at 5 and not at 4,
Got what at 5 and not at 4?
the street lighting?
Where are you? I have
I'm
to-
on street
Oh,
lighting
yeah,
because it's a
well, I
nice
have to
agenda
get
item.
fine there.
Page 9.
Line 567.
The question is,
I'm looking the past couple of years, like 2 years ago, we only spent
well, electrical
3,600.
rates went up last year, they
But
are
they
now
should,
down
they're
because.
down because we're part of that great fire.
Well, actually, no,
No, this is still a.
we were paying 8 cents
Oh, this
per
is.
kilowatt already with our,
The town's
the
not
contract
tracking
we
it?
had.
I hadn't
So
gone.
we're actually
I think
paying the
we're-
same rate with community power, which is great, we'll take community
Well,
power.
whatever,
Okay,
we're still only at 3,100 with only a quarter left to get to
We're at
something.
3,900.
Oh, this is 31.
What are you looking at?
I'm looking at the line item of street lighting,
567.
What does your number say?
3128.
Mine doesn't.
Budgeted 625.
Yeah, I think you and I have an old copy.
Yeah, we have
This
an
is
old
what you
one.
emailed us
Yeah, this is the email copy we got.
2 days ago.
Oh,
Oh, okay, so I
I'm using
may
the one that
just,
was on the desk.
Oh,
I'm using the one that Steve gave me.
okay, so you're saying that the one you emailed us to prep for the meeting 2 days ago, you already updated? Okay. So
no,
it's,
I will say, just to be clear, the numbers change every.
no, I get that,
all the
I get
time.
that.
Yeah.
So the number's at
but
what,
they're
39
minimal
what?
changes.
What's the number at?
3990.
Okay, then we can say at 5.
So, is the municipal bill Eversource or do we have community power as well?
The town currently does not have
Yes.
community power,
'Cause I like
it
digital.
is, and I can't remember the name of the company, we subcontract, it's not
Oh,
Eversource.
like that's right.
Updated one.
But we have a really good rate with them,
Okay, good.
and it was signed 4 years ago, the contract ends in December, and we have to notify them so that we can go over to community power, which is about the same rate, it's not gonna change our rate, but it
Yeah.
will be a long-term relationship.
Okay, cool.
Okay, last one.
Outside agency.
What is the last one?
Outside
Outside
agencies.
agencies, well, I have nothing really to say about that.
I can tell you that Bear Camp Center, camp is going down to 8,000 and meals are going to 6,000.
Okay, so that's the application, okay.
That's what I just submitted, yeah, for application.
Yeah, I, basically with the outside agencies, I'm waiting till November 7th, by which time whoever submitted the budget will then get entered in correct with the most updated numbers, and I will invite them all to come in at the same meeting, probably the 2nd or some weekend, whatever, I'm not sure when.
Okay.
Moving on to vacation policy transition year discussion.
I emailed you all, I had to print out and give it to you.
Yeah,
So, as you know, we have a new personnel policy, and as part of that policy, people were given all of the hours they had earned, and then they started to accrue hours on March 23rd, which is when the policy kicked in. So in this 1 year, people have a lot of vacation hours. And Elaine suggested, rather than have a lot of upset people,
Because they're not using them.
because they're not using them for a variety of reasons, one of which is we're understaffed in many departments, and so people haven't been able to use them. The numbers I sent you are not, they were a snapshot in time. Some people have been using their vacation time since then, so some will go down, some will go up because they're more accrued. But basically, on December 31st, what she's suggesting, rather than have people lose those hours because you can only carry over 60, is to buy out those vacation days.
This one time,
This
because
one
it's
time,
transition
because
year.
of the transfer. There's enough money in the current 2024 budget to cover it. It's not like raising new money. What it means is that the total comes to about 16,000 for combined 8 employees that have extra time. Some have a lot, some have not so much. Some are using some right now.
So that would be the last step in transitioning the personnel policy to the new system, without anybody losing anything that they had as a benefit before.
Right, and it would be a raw deal to lose it, I
Yeah.
think.
Oh, yeah?
And 16 is the worst case scenario. I know that several people are using quite a bit of theirs, so it may be more like 10. I don't know yet, but.
But the money could come out of existing salary lines because we're understaffed, is what
Correct.
you're saying.
Or the other option was to let them roll it over and use it for
But then you're in the
Right.
same,
Portion of time.
yeah, I mean, the policy says you can roll over 60 hours, so if you're gonna stay with the policy, that is not an option.
But I think,
You know,
I
you
think
could vote
Elaine was
to do
also,
that.
What I'm saying is to
Or-
amend the policy temporarily, another option I thought you presented in the prep was
Yeah.
buy out or extend it so that they can take all of that time
Yeah.
into
Yeah.
a certain number of months. of
Yeah, what if
25.
just thinking, what if we allowed them, wherever they're at the end of this year, to roll over and use it by the end of next year, and then only carry over 60 hours at that point?
Yeah, give them full 2 years.
Give them another year.
Wouldn't be money necessarily directly out of pocket,
But-
but gives them 12 months to use that.
the problem
I mean, is there
is,
gonna be anybody with like 120? Or like,
You mean hours to roll over?
like, is there gonna be
Yeah.
somebody with like a ton of time to roll
Yeah.
over?
Yeah.
Fair couple.
Yeah, and so then that puts us in a real understaffing problem in 25 now.
Right, they still,
So to take
the
time.
people who haven't used it are still in the same boat. They don't necessarily have the staff to use it.
and this year, we have it already appropriated in the budget to spend, and if we roll it over into the next year's budget,
We won't.
if it's a kind of situation where we have to hire somebody in to cover that spot, we're gonna have to plan for it financially,
Yeah.
as opposed to spending it now because we have it already.
Okay.
I think the buyout
I think it's
makes
cleaner
sense.
to buy it out.
I think so,
I just was thinking, you know.
Yeah,
yeah. I believe that would be a motion.
Okay, so I make a motion that we allow I'll take your help.
I make a motion to buy out any accumulated vacation time over 60 hours going into 2025. Does that make sense?
Yep.
at the end.
Because they can roll over 60.
Do you have to,
Second.
So second.
wait,
Do we have
wait,
any,
wait.
No, and
A second.
discussion, now we,
But do we have to add to the motion at something like, at what rate, like at their hourly rate, or is that just
No.
That's
obviously
assumed.
applied?
yeah,
Okay,
That's assumed.
That's the value of
It's
it.
very right.
okay.
at triple time, no, I'm just kidding.
Well, just so it's clear, it's not a reduced rate.
Oh.
No,
No.
no. Does that make, I think that's a,
Then you're
Yep.
good, yep.
any
So-
other discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Very yes.
Schaefer, yes?
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no.
So the payout will happen in the first paycheck of the new year?
I assume so, but I'll let Elaine take a look at that. And I want to thank Elaine for bringing the
Yeah.
issue up and, calling attention to it.
She's been super helpful all
Yep.
along this kind of personnel policy transition process.
Moving on to old business, transfer station staffing.
So last week you voted to make Stephen Brothers a temporary, unscheduled transfer station worker. Brian has now said that he would like to put Stephen Brothers in a permanent part-time position. So now you have to vote to hire him as a permanent part-time.
Do we need to do the rate and everything? A 20?
It's-
we do a 20
it's
now?
20.
I make a motion to hire Stephen Brothers as a regular scheduled part-time transfer station attendant at the rate of $20 per hour.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes. No, I remember talking to you about this, Keats. He'll be just weekends and somebody else's Wednesdays, or how's this working out?
He's gonna be 3 days a week, and I think you'd have to ask Brian what his solution is, and I think we'd have to talk about that in a
Okay.
non-public, because
So
of-
Stephen Brothers is the new Jason, essentially?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any discussion?
No.
Hearing none, roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Barry, yes. Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no.
Schaefer, you
Welcome, Mr.
seconded,
Brothers.
right?
Yes,
I said, welcome, Mr. Brothers.
Moving on to administrator report.
I feel like I just did it.
Pretty much.
The bank balance is $3,137,681,
Budget.
and budgeting is my life right now.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything else. Okay.
I'm gonna move on to signature file. I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for October 10th, 2024, as well as the non-public meeting minutes for October 10th, 2024, under RSA 91-A:3 2C, Session 1, RSA 91-A:3 2A, Session 2, and RSA 91-A:3 2C, Session 3.
Second.
Roll call vote.
You said abstains?
Barry, yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 4 yes with 1 abstention. I make a motion to approve the accounts payable in the amount of $455,963.93.
Second.
Tell us what it is.
It's on there.
Bruno doesn't need
Bruno's
to be
not
in the
here,
room.
so we gotta fill in for him.
Keep you in habit.
Might dial in someday.
School, right?
School, $306,000. Library,
Yep.
$55,900. Retirement, $13,227. Hauling, $9,000.
Why is the school, I thought the school was $250.
No,
It
it
used
went
to
up.
be.
It went up.
This year's
The new budget.
Yeah, this
I
was a while ago.
blocked that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was
For
like
a long time.
This was
Yeah.
months ago.
Oh
We were
my
spending
God.
$350 a month ago.
Roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Barry, yes. Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. I make a motion to approve. Oh, I don't make a motion to approve. I thought there was going to be a payroll, but there's not. There's no payroll this week?
So
That's every other week. Okay.
Yeah.
Cash used to date $8,842,215.26. Select board updates, starting with Richard.
I've got a couple. One thing that I'm wondering about is, I think the signature file might be the least interesting item to the public. So I wonder if that should be last. Something to think about on the agenda.
Sure.
I think at least one individual has mentioned to me the select board updates are more interesting than the signature file. I realize it's a pretty low bar that we're setting, but anyway.
Wow.
Never thought of that.
I've had 2 calls. I think Steve was on both of them. I think Willie was on 1 or 2 of them. Maybe Keats was on one with Sanborn Head about designing of the bathroom. That's going forward with leaps and bounds. I'll be as positive as I can.
Given a very tight schedule they've been
Yes.
given.
And today I had a meeting with Kim and Keats regarding the facility permit system. So for the transfer station and swimming, bear camp pond, the stickers. I would say based on our discussion, there's no major changes proposed. Probably some minor ones. And we'll need to chat in more detail with Brian about implementation of at least one of them, and that is, let's sell stickers at the transfer station, not just here at the town.
And there'll be a public hearing to change the
Yep.
fee on that.
So we're thinking about upping the fees on the stickers and selling them at the transfer station.
What about the limitations we've been talking about on and on and on?
We talked about that, and we're thinking the only way to really make some of that stuff work, like, gee, we shouldn't have commercial trash, or should we pay more for it, or we should pay for brush. Only way that we could see easily to implement that is when you have a scale.
Yep.
So, like, gee, should commercial trash be more? Well, how do you decide what kind of businesses? And is it a matter of, and the scale could fix some of that, or you could use the scale to implement changes to fees. So we didn't agree to any sort of big sweeping changes like we only take trash that's generated in Tamworth. Well, how do you know? Or we only take residential trash. Well, how do you know? So it's hard to know how to implement at this time bigger changes. I think we have a scale, and if we have a recycling building, we're more capable of maybe doing more.
I thought part of that that makes sense to me for the transfer station aspect, but I thought part of the conversation we had was around the fact that there seemed to be some businesses, some households that had many stickers, and
We're
so
capping the number of stickers
okay
per property.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, because when we were talking about beach access and
Right.
when, you know.
Because one landowner
Okay.
came in, it's owner of a campground, and was sold 32 stickers.
Right,
And so that was just a miscommunication in the tax collector's, town clerk's office.
Yeah.
So it'll be capped at 6 per property.
okay,
You still get 2 for free, all the rest are $20 each. That's what we will be proposing at the public hearing.
okay. And they have to be affixed to the windshield?
Nope.
Okay,
I thought they were, but they don't have to be affixed
displayed.
now, it needs to be displayed. So if somebody has a guest at their house, you can have it, you don't have to have it affixed, you hand it to that person.
yeah,
So that's easier than creating a new process of guest passes.
yeah.
It's easier to just say, okay, just hand them the sticker you have.
I think that's what Sandwich does, isn't it?
No, Sandwich has the guest pass thing.
The guest pass, yeah.
Yeah, which I really like,
Because
but,
it's it's laminated guest with your name on it,
yeah.
yeah,
And this, people just
Yeah.
put the sticker on a piece of cardboard and,
Yeah.
put it on their dashboard.
yeah,
Um,
okay.
So I think there's always room for more changes, but at least for now, it's,
Steps, good.
it's a relatively small
It
step.
seemed like the big policy changes sort of came together, and that would
Yeah.
make more sense to do in the
Right.
future.
Because the idea of having a scale and the fees are all gonna go up once you charge by the pound, because shingles are real heavy, but cardboard's not. So that's gonna be a bigger change, but that'll come at some point if we have a scale.
Yeah, great.
That's all I got.
I have nothing.
Good for you.
I was at the transfer station early today to let the engineers and designers for the bathroom in, but Brian already beat me to it. So, hung out with them for a little while, we talked about a few things. They didn't really much in the way of guidance. There was a few questions that they had, which they're going to email us out about rapidly. So they're happy with the timeline, and well, not happy, but they're making it work. So as we stay out of their way, and not stay out of their way, but get them the information they need rapidly and don't delay things, will be good, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
So we got some plans, I think, just recently updated.
So it's looking like the addition will be no deeper or wider than the existing office. So it's just building an addition the same size as the office, just slapped in next to the office.
Mhm.
And there'll be a little alcove, you walk into it, you turn left to go in the office, or you turn right to go in the bathroom. Actually, right is the mechanical room,
Yep.
straight ahead is the bathroom.
And now they've split mechanical and electrical, there's gonna be an outside entrance possibly.
And we might put, there's a little teeny attic up there, so you can put some of the mechanicals up there, so you don't have to make a bigger building.
Right.
Because when you're building a building, most of the cost is when you bump out the foundation.
And so one of the big points of discussion was about the eyewash station that the Bear Camp Center was gonna donate. And the engineers need to know the specs of the eyewash station for them to be able to properly design the building. So there were some questions around that, and decided that it would be this being a time-sensitive nature,
Yeah.
they're gonna design it to the one that they spec.
And the great thing about the one that you had is, I always knew there were at least 2 types of eye wash stations. A portable one, which we have, which I think is not good enough, Because if you have something in your eyes, you shouldn't be go looking for the portable thing in a cabinet somewhere.
It's a hand pump.
You should be able to walk over to something and clean your eyes out. But there was this assumption that it needed to be a shower type. Well, it doesn't have to be. Yours isn't a shower type. It's a sink type, and the water splashes up in your face. So that's the type that we need. Because the shower type, all of a sudden it becomes a shower, and with that, you'd be surprised the stuff that comes along with a shower. You need a bigger water tank, you need more water pressure, it needs to be hotter. All of a sudden the building was getting bigger just to have a shower.
Right.
So we said, well, that's stupid. We don't
To
need
do a shower, we needed 300 gallons of the appropriate temperature water on standby
Just-
anytime.
Just specific.
So, no, that's it for me.
I talked to department heads about budget stuff, and I talked to Richard Roberts to get the answer to the question that came up last week about paving Depot Road, and what he said was that, not this year, but last year and the year before, just about $200,000 was spent on the far end of Depot Road, and for grinding and ditch work and all kinds of stuff. So the whole thing didn't get paved, but already $200,000 has been put into it, and the paving didn't happen this year. A couple of storms, and I was shocked by this, but that last storm we had in April, where all that tree damage happened, cost the town, cost the highway department at least, $50,000 of anticipated storm funds. So, you know, it takes a couple of storms that blow your budget, so.
So that bumps out some paving.
Yeah, bumps up some paving. So it's still on the list, it's still gonna happen, but he did wanna be clear, when we were talking last week and we were saying, didn't Richard talk to us about Depot Road? We were remembering correctly, because he had reported on the work that they had done. And, you know, a significant amount of money's gone into that section of town already, which is great. So, appreciated that phone call and that clarification.
Nothing for me this week. Is there any public input?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I should have brought this up last week when the police chief was here. That way you could have answered my question, but I wanted to make sure I put this out here. In the 2024 budget, you had said that you were going to put in the CALIA accreditation, and I could have sworn I heard him, or of course I listened to the tape again, and I did hear him say that the policies are not finished yet. They're still working on them. So I'm like, why is it taking a whole year to get the accreditation and also have all the policies rewritten? When OSPI did this in like 2 months. I don't know why that happened. So, because it was in the budget, and I believe it's still in the budget. I just don't know why it's not done.
We can ask him that.
Okay. Number two is, I know you're waiting for the county to get you, the DRA forms have to go from the county to DRA. They're a little delayed.
I was wondering about
Yeah,
that.
so everybody else is too. I'm
Yeah.
getting phone calls, what's going on with
Right.
the county, because a
That's
few
what's
years ago.
delaying the tax rate setting.
Correct. So a few years ago, we had the same problem, but it was really delayed, and it put everybody behind. I just wanted to make sure everybody knows that they know about it, they're working it, it's not gonna be like it was last time.
The county knows about it.
The
as
county
well.
knows
Okay,
about it. And
good.
the forms have to, you know, so all the towns have done what they're supposed to do.
Yeah,
But that stuff from the county has to go to DRA.
and I should have added in my administrator's report that we have filed all the documents we need to file for tax rate setting, and that we're waiting for county.
For the county.
Yeah.
Good.
Is there any other public input?
Hi there, this is Maureen, and I have a couple comments. First of all, yeah, I really do appreciate the select board, your reports each week. I would say it's the thing I most look forward to. I really appreciate hearing old business and new business. Those are always important, but your reports tell me a lot about connection to the community, so I really do appreciate that. And the second thing is, I'm sharing something with you as a co-chair of the Community Food Center. And this is information that I just got today, and I haven't really thought it through, so maybe I shouldn't be sharing it yet, but we got information from the New Hampshire Food Bank today that the amount that we'll receive from them this year for Thanksgiving is hugely less than it was a year ago. A year ago, we got about $2,000 in grocery store certificates. This year, we're going to get 100.
Wow.
A year ago, we got 68 turkeys. This year, we're going to get 12.
Oh, no.
So that means our budget is being called upon, and this year we have the money in the budget. But you might recall that a year ago, I reduced our request from the town.
Right.
And I may come with my tail between my legs and ask you for more money this time. And as I hear you talking about your issues today, I just felt like I needed to say that, because I'm sure we're not the only nonprofit who's facing things like this. For us, it appears to be a post-COVID huge drop in what the New Hampshire Food Bank is receiving from outside givers and offers, and what they are receiving now in 2024. So just mentioning that, food for thought. Thank you all very much.
Thanks, Maureen.
Thank you.
Maureen,
Yes,
how many turkey boxes did you give out last year? Do you recall?
we received 68 turkeys, and I think we gave 58 out to clients and gave some to Yankee Smokehouse because they allow us to store our frozen turkeys in their facilities. So I'm pretty sure we gave 58 out to families of the 68 that we received, and then the others went out, a few to Yankee Smokehouse, a few over the next month to individuals who came to our bi-weekly sessions.
Sure. Okay, thank you. Ooh, that's rough.
Any other public input? Hearing none, I make a motion to go into non-public under RSA 91-A:3 2A Session 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
RSA 91,
No, session
Session 3, and RSA 91-A:3 2A Session 4.
Second.
Roll call vote.
You saying yes?
Fair yes?
Schaefer, yes.
Yes.
Roberts, yes. We're now in non-public at 7:25 p.m.
I'm gonna get Kim.
Frog, tree frog.
That's a beer
Yeah.
that they make?
Seven
like
inches
to
called Heaper.
I haven't had that one.
I make a motion to come out of non-public at 7:58 p.m.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote.
You say yes?
Fair yes?
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. Minutes are not sealed. Right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Minutes are not sealed. Motion to adjourn.
What time is it? 8
7:50.
7:50.
Okay, I am tired.